where were you the first time you ever heard Rakim? He's the type of MC that you actually remember, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I could paint the picture.
Sure,
I was in my bedroom at my parents' house on East 91st Street here in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a Kenwood receiver. It was locked into 107.5 WBLS. The Rap Attack.
WBLS.
The Rap Attack with Mr. Magic and Marley Marl.
Man, what you tell Ronnie be illin', man? Ain't nobody illin', man. I'm chillin' listening to Mr. Magic. 107.5 WBLS.
That's right.
In New York, chillin'.
That's me.
Chillin'. Rap Attack.
And that's when I first heard the track, My Melody. But it actually wasn't the full song, My Melody, by Eric B. and Rakim. The beat from My Melody, Marley had premiered earlier as an instrumental that he had Run from Run DMC
Really?
rhyme over.
Really? I didn't know that.
And
it was never released?
No, it was just a freestyle.
Yes, y'all. And we don't stop. We're keeping on and rocking the house, y'all. I'm going flowing and showing, rock knocking, shocking the mind. Illin', chillin', and killing, so won't you check out the rhyme?
He put that beat on and Run just does the destruction.
Yeah.
just goes in on that beat.
Yeah.
And then, that became the foundation for My Melody.
Turn up the bass, check out my melody, hand out a cigar. I'm letting knowledge be born, and my name's the R. A.K.A. I am not like the rest of them, I'm not on the list. Catch what I'm saying, I drop lines like a scientist.
But, you know, that was when listening to rap radio, you know, in the mid and late 80s was essential listening. Like, you had to listen week to week because things like that would happen, and you just didn't know what it was going to be. And that was a colossally important moment when My Melody dropped.
Word. All right, everybody, coming up, the Master Architect. Check out his technique.
007.
You got to know the ledge.
The R.
Rakim.
We'd like to say a quick thank you and share a message from one of our sponsors, Sony Music Latin, presenting Grammy Award-winning artist Ile, a Puerto Rican singer and composer known for her work with Calle 13. Her debut album, Inevitable, garnered her a Best New Artist nomination at the Latin Grammys. It also won the award for the Best Latin Rock, Urban, or Alternative Album at the 60th Annual Grammy Awards. Her new single and video, titled Odio, is available everywhere now.
Some things were meant for each other. Fries and milkshakes, selfies and duckface. And now, what's good with Stretch and Bobbito and Spotify? Yes, the same app that has millions of songs now also has thousands of podcasts.
On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite shows and discover new ones. To subscribe to ours, search for What's Good with Stretch and Bobbito, tap follow, and get every new episode delivered to you.
Podcasts on Spotify. They're streaming right now. And now. And
we're back. Beyond honored to have with us in the studio musical legend Rakim. Rakim, welcome to our show.
Thanks, my brothers. Thanks for having me, man.
No doubt. So listen, what we're gonna do right now is go back, way back into time. We have a recording here of you as a young teen prior to becoming the R, a.k.a. Rakim, as an MC named Kid Wizard.
You go bump with the rhythm, delay with the bass. My name is the Kid Wizard and I'm in the place. So check it out, y'all, and then you don't stop. Because the beat is got to be the short shot. I never stop, y'all. The body rock, y'all. Body, you call me Kid Wizard on pop, y'all. The president of poetry is what I am. You can call me Wiz, they call me Rakim. So every time I rock a mic, it's so unique. So check it out, y'all. Because I'm reaching my peak.
So take us back. Like, did you have a flat top? Did you have a baldy? Did you have
I think I had braids at that time, man. I had the braids back then, man.
Okay.
I think that was like ninth grade right there. Ninth grade.
How many socks were you wearing?
Oh, you know, the full toupee on each foot. You know what I mean? Come on, man. You got your sneakers on. You got your strings strung up real wide. You want the fat look on you. You know what I mean? Probably had on the shell top that night. You know what I mean? Yeah, man.
That was 1985, and what strikes me about that recording is while you sound like a pro, you still sound very much like you're in 1985. But then A year later,
Make 'em clap to this.
Thank you, DJ.
Eric B. for President and My Melody come out.
I came in the door, I said it before. I never let the mic magnetize me no more, but it's biting me, fighting me, inviting me to rhyme. I can't hold it back. I'm looking.
In the hood, I was getting the juice. You know what I mean? Everybody in the hood was telling me I was that dude. So you know what I mean? Living off of that, started moving around, doing different shows in different cities. You know, not outside of New York, but doing a lot of things around New York, and just got a little confident. You know what I mean? And with that, and like I said, knowledge of self, man. I think the growth was kind of crazy that year, man. But once I went to Marley crib and walked in his living room, you know, I knew it was real, and it just kind of, you know, let me know I was there. I had no idea I would ever, you know, not only get a chance to make a record, but, you know, I was standing in Marley crib. So I think I grew up real quick that year, bro.
Had you prepared those rhymes prior to getting to Marley's crib?
Now, you're talking about Marley Marl, you know, the preeminent producer of the time.
Yeah, the melody was already written. I had wrote that for a talent show. Half of it, right? Talent shows, man.
Wow.
Doing talent. But yeah, half of that rhyme was written for a talent show, and it's crazy because I thought I was gonna go play football at that point. So I did a tape where, you know, once I get up in the dorms and cats start, you know, beefing, I could put my tape in and shut it down. So, you know, I did a little tape. It had the melody, and I had wrote some more of the melody on the tape, put a bunch of rhymes on it. And, you know, thought I was going to play football. And somebody knocked on my door, my man Alvin Toney, with Eric B., man. And that changed my whole life.
What I'm curious about, though, Ra, is that, you know, obviously, you know, Cass is juicing you, telling you, yo, you nice, you know, and you're getting to this point of being at the top producer of the Times studio. Did you take an L at any point? Did you catch a loss? Or did you have any shows where you just left the stage like, yo, I was whacked tonight? Or, you know what I mean? Because, of course, we want to exalt you as we all would, but you're human.
No doubt. But I'm sorry, bro. I never took an L, man. I'm sorry I can't humanize myself for y'all tonight, man. You know what I mean? That was not in the program, man. We'd be in the park all night. Somebody pop off on me, you know what I mean?
Right.
But you had to battle back then. You had to battle. You go up in the park. And I was so young, it took me a while to figure out, you know, how I wanted to approach hip hop and how I wanted to, you know, let the people know how I get down. So, you know, it changed rapidly, man, once I started making records.
What books were you reading at that point? You know, you saying you was getting knowledge yourself.
In '85, early when I first got knowledge of self, it was 120.
What is 120 for our audience?
No doubt, 120 is the lessons that the 5% Nation of Islam read to master our craft and master ourself. Take it through 120 of knowledge, 120 of wisdom, 120 of understanding, which is 360 degrees. But yeah, that's, you know, I was studying 120. And the more I was reading that, I started realizing I had to read the Quran, the Bible, the Torah, and everything I can get my hands on. Writing, man, I always wanted to try to, you know, do something different. And once I got the stage knowing, yo, you know, this can go, you know, professional, I started putting a little more work into my writing, man, trying to get a little more slick with the metaphors, trying to draw pictures, you know, trying to be a wordsmith.
So you doodle with your mind.
Nah, I doodle on the toilet, man. When I'm
No, I'm not doodle. I said doodle.
I know
doodle.
it's sick,
Nah,
bro.
you doodle on other MCs.
I don't write rhymes on the toilet, man. But yeah, man. You know what I mean? But now, man, is, you know, yeah, when I sit at the book, man, I do write a bunch of words and a bunch of concepts on the paper when I'm writing. You know, I doodle all the time, man, and just try to, you know, come up with, you know, different ways to say different things, man. You know what I mean?
So what happens to the god Rakim when he's constipated? Metaphorically.
I go out and eat more. I go out and live more. You know what I mean?
Get that nourishment.
Yes, sir.
You nourish the brain.
I'm kind of stubborn. I don't believe in writer's block. So I learned different ways to cheat that shit.
So
man.
So Rakim doesn't take losses and he doesn't get writer's block.
And he doodles on other MCs.
Easily.
Regularly.
Word up.
We're building a nice
clockwise.
We're getting to know you better, Rakim. This is amazing, yo. Much love.
No doubt.
Now, your aunt was a famous R&B singer, Ruth Brown. I never knew that until we got on to do this podcast.
Yeah.
And she wrote a series of hits in the 1950s for Atlantic
Incredible.
Records, which at the time was known as the house
That Ruth
built.
Mama, it keeps your daughter mean. He's the meanest man I've ever seen.
Yeah, like she had a real big influence on my life, man, and on my career as well. You know, she used to babysit me when I was a little cat. And I had the privilege to sit there and just watch her be her. And she was, you know, crazy down to earth, laid back. I would be at her house before she would have a show that night. And she'd sit back and just, you know, watch TV, watch the news, watch her favorite shows. Then she'd get up, start doing her 1-2s. I watched her put a dress on the table, pull out some clothes glue, hit it with the 1-2, threw the glitter on it, did the shoes, the hat, bing, bing, the pocketbook. She got dressed that night and looked like a star, man.
I got too many men. I change like the weather every now and then. I got too many men. I pick one, then another, and I'm gone.
Getting a chance to just see how she approached things, it helped me a lot with what I do. My aunt taught me through her actions, man. You know what I mean? And of course, she let me know, you know, what to look out for and things of that nature, man. But I learned so much from her, from just, you know, being her nephew and watching and being around her, man.
What was her impression of hip hop and specifically your music? Did you ever rhyme for her?
She heard my songs, man, and she was real proud of her nephew, and she's real sharp with her craft. So she was analyzing what I was doing. She'd tell me she heard, you know, a certain song, and then she'll tell me I remind her of somebody from, you know, back in the days, a jazz artist, or a certain way that I was rhyming. She'll tell me the time code of the, you know what I mean? She just loved music. Whenever she heard good music, she definitely appreciated it, and she was proud of her nephew.
That's dope.
Paid in Full, your debut album.
Thinking of a master plan, 'cause ain't nothing but sweat inside my hand. So I dig into my pocket, all my money spent, so I get deeper, but still coming up with lint. So I
rhymes and on the lyrical side.
At that point, you know, fresh out the street, fresh out the park, fresh out the basement parties and things of that nature. 1985, I was, you know, considered like, you know, a B-boy MC. I like rhyming off of break beats, and a lot of the songs that we picked was joints I used to rhyme off in the park. Paid in Full, I used to rhyme off of Dennis Edwards all the time.
Right. Someone to count on. Don't look any further. But what was the chorus there? Was it bagels, waffles, and toast?
And you had a little butter.
You know what I mean?
What was the chorus on that song?
I think it was Swahili, bro. I think it was Swahili or something.
Mama say.
Word up. But yeah, that was one of the joints, man. Of course, James Brown, Funky President, Funky Drummer. I mean, you know, a lot of the joints that you know I picked was, again, joints that I love to rhyme off in the park. Mm-hmm. And you know, sampling wasn't that big when we first started doing it. You know what I mean? But I came from a musical family, so I love rhyming off of live music. Sampling was my thing, and we, you know, gave it a try, tested it out, man, and you know, it's a blessing that it did what it did.
And did you have any idea of the impact that Paid in Full would have while you were in the studio?
Not at all, man. Never been in a professional studio before. Never been in the studio while somebody was creating an album. So everything was kind of organic, man, for you know, me and Eric B to kind of do what we did. I was 17, about to turn 18 in a few months. But it was a hard decision because, you know, I had to sign out of school. I was still in high school.
You were allowed to drop out of high school to sign your contract?
No doubt. My mom and pop went up to the school, signed me out, no doubt.
Wow.
You know, I didn't want to just drop out. You know what I mean? I was doing my thing in school. Again, I wasn't no bookworm, but I was passing my classes, doing my thing. And it was just, opportunity was there. And, when the record dropped, I had no idea it was going to take off. And they booked a tour for us, so, things was moving fast. So had to promise Mom and Pop I would get my GED or some type of,
And
diploma.
did you?
Hey, yo, Bobbito, man, stop asking questions like that on the air,
This
man.
is my job.
I think what I done, I got a something that they would appreciate. I was gifted a honorary degree, you know what I mean? So I feel that's a little better than the GED.
Oh, where at?
Across seas. Don't ask me the name of the college right now,
All good.
Bobbito. I can't remember that right now. Man. Stretch
And
know
after
what I'm
12th
talking
grade, I
about.
went
Stretch.
straight to college.
Hold up, man.
Ra, you mentioned earlier football. That was one of your passions,
Yes,
perhaps
sir.
would have been your course in life if you had not discovered hip-hop. Just curious, if you had become a professional football player and found yourself in today's environment, would you be one of those players taking a knee last year? And what would you do next year?
I think deep down I am who I am. If it's rapping, if it's being a father, if it's I still have the same ideologies on life. So I would have been not only nailing down, I would have been encouraging my team to make a stand as well. Once I would have started seeing all the turmoil, then of course I would have tried to implement smart ways of bringing consciousness to the situation, man. I think that's all it is, man. I think with all the craziness that's going on, nobody want to stir the pot, but we got to make sure that everybody has their justice, man, and athletes, musicians and actors and things of that nature, we have a lot of power. So if we can influence the kids and the neighborhood to stand up, man, we should be able to do that, no matter what platform it is.
You're very much informed by your spirituality, and that the foundation of that is, I'm imagining, your conversion into the 5%ers, which for our audience is an offshoot or a sect of the Nation of Islam, which is a offshoot sect of Islam. In 2018, we're seeing a worldwide resistance to a religion which represents a lot of positivity for a great number of people around the world.
Indeed.
You still hold yourself to the tenets of 5%, the 5% Nation?
Well, no doubt. I credit that to a lot of my success, man. Not only just, having access to literature and things of that nature, but the person that it taught me to be, you know what I mean? So I credit a lot of my success to that, a lot of who I am to that. And of course, man, I hold that dear to my heart. That's what keeps me grounded, I'm not a saint, but it keeps me grounded and keeps me forward, man. So
do you find yourself having a kinship with Muslims? There's all these horrific moments on television with the way they are treated, policies and Muslim bans, What are your reactions to that?
I think people need to, if it's the Bible you read, I think you need to read your Bible a little closer. I think a good way to put it, man, it's always a word that I like to pass around, and it's humility. And I think if everybody realized that was an important word, then they would stop stereotyping and psychoanalyzing and discriminating and all these things, man. Like I said a minute ago, nobody's perfect, and a lot of us strive to be righteous, or at least good people, man. But if you are a good person, you shouldn't be feeling the way you feel against people of different ethnicities and different beliefs. So come on, America, come on, world, wake up.
One of my favorite songs by you is Casualties of War, where you describe post-traumatic stress syndrome. And I think one of the most powerful verses from that song is where you're talking about going to bomb or 007.
World is born, you know what I mean? And we could probably go through a couple albums and at least get like 20 names. Aldo Capone, you know what I mean? Sheesh. But,
Right. Well, I'm glad you dropped Kid Wizard.
That was a little young. I was a little that was my imaginative MC.
It was good for 85.
You know what I mean? Word up, man. It was my way of saying I was kind of magical with the mic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, man, it's you know, like I said, man, I would come up with a lot of names, but for the guard to stick, man. I mean, that for people to use the term, it's almost like making them conscious that it exists. It's like not normalizing the word, but making it acceptable so that everybody can use it.
Yo, Ra, you once told Rolling Stone, "I never say a rhyme before it's time." I just realized that actually is a rhyme. What does that mean to you, and how do you know when a rhyme has the right time?
I guess it's my process. Sometimes I would write rhymes, and there's a certain part of the rhyme that I would want to make a little better. So, I would leave it there till I can enhance whatever part or whatever bar that I wanted to, you know what I mean? Like, you write a rhyme, then you read it back, you're like, that part right there could have been a little better. That, you know what I mean? So you'll wait till the right, feel come along, and, when it's time, and you can pop off. But until then, I hate rushing, because I know what it'll sound like if I had a little more time. And you got to get to a point where you're confident in your work. Sometimes we got to remember that first instinct.
Which verse is the most unfinished that you look back at and say, "Dang, I wish that never came. I wish I could have gotten back in and redone that before."
Come on.
What? And I know his answer. He's gonna be, "Come on, man. I'm the God Rakim. I take no losses. Foolish mortal.
Come on.
How dare you,
Come on,
Bobbito.
Bito. You know already, baby." Hey, yo, but I'm my worst critic, man. It's plenty of my songs that I wish I could have had more time with. One of the things that I always hated is that I wrote my rhymes in the studio, and I would read them from the book straight to the recording. And when I look back, I would have memorized my song a little bit better so that I can say it with, a little more feeling. You know what I mean? You know how it is when you're reading something, or if you know it by heart. So that I regret that to this day, man. I would go to the studio. Every song I did, I wrote everything right in the studio, and I would jump up as soon as I finished that last word. If I felt it was ready, run right in the booth, take my book, and lay it down, man. But yeah, I wish I could have. A lot of songs and a lot of recordings I did, I wish I could have did better.
Speaking of right times, you and your old partner Eric B are hitting the road. Actually, you've been on the road. I think you still are, right?
Word up. Big up to Eric B, man. Peace and love.
We want to play a clip of one of our favorite tracks of yours.
Okay. Come on, man. I want to hear that shit too.
He wants to hear it. Yeah. Run for cover.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oof.
He probably didn't expect that.
Not at all.
Here I go again, ready to flow again. Better hope my mic don't blow again. Born by alarms when the mic get warm. Crowd get critical, can't keep calm. Jet for the exit, why hang around? Words that I found make the mic melt down. If you stay better, cooperate, cuts and amputate, and the weather don't break.
I always kind of brush them off, not brush Eric B off, brush the opportunities off. But I got to the point where I realized that it wasn't about me and Eric B and what we went through. We had fans out there that really appreciate what we did, and I felt that I owed the fans, man, to at least let them see what they made us. You know what I mean? So I felt it was important for us to give that back on the road, and whoever wanted to see Eric B and Rakim, for the last time or whatever, it may be. I want to make that possible. Hold up.
And anyone that's a creative, but trying to make a career of it, you've got that delicate balance between the business and the creativity,
right,
which I find kind of a fascinating thing to just explore. What happened business-wise back then?
I can't beat around the bush because it'll sound stupid, so I'm just gonna say, you know what I mean? What had happened was, right? We wasn't nah. What happened? Well, we had 3 more albums left on the contract, and Eric B came up with an idea. He said, "Yo, Rob, man, look." He said, if he do a solo joint, I do a solo joint. Then we got back together, did the last joint. Our contracts will be up. We can negotiate new contracts. But meanwhile, when he do the solo joint, he take all the money for that. When I do my solo joint, I take all the money for that. Get back together, do album, new deal. So, it was money signs. Long story short, Eric B did his. I signed off, and when it was time for me to do mine, he didn't want to sign off. So that caused a lot of problems, and that caused the, breakup of Eric B and Rakim, man. But again, man, it was business. He felt that if he would have signed for some reason that I wasn't going to sign back to the last album, he felt I was going to cut him out for some reason. But, that was the misunderstanding, and I ain't gonna front, man. Bitter taste in my mouth for a long time. But again, I guess that's, like I said, I finally matured on that situation, man, and realized it's bigger than us. So we here right now.
You're a descendant of an era that's very different in 2018, where the term hip hop is misinterpreted at times, it's misrepresented at times, it's misused at times. There was an interview you did on TMZ where you were like, hip hop has taken a lot of different routes throughout the years. You've seen it go through a lot, and at this point, you just want to see it prosper.
Yes.
Where do you stand in terms of caring about the departure of what hip hop means to so many people, and us not necessarily controlling it anymore? It's gotten out of our hands. It's gotten too big.
Seeing it struggle and seeing where it came from, that's why I say, I just always wanted to see it prosper. I like when I'm looking at TV and a cereal commercial come on, and the dude wearing a fat dookie chain, and you know what I mean? Like when I seen the Kool-Aid commercial with, come on, man, like that's when I'm like, yo, we made it, man. We made it. You know what I mean? And it feels good to see it grow and how it affects the world now. Of course, man, I wish that, some of the ground roots of what made hip-hop what it is still existed, the sound of hip-hop. But it's not good when you go too far away from the genre, you know what I mean?
We've grown too far from the root.
Yes, man. I think, like, back in the days, I think we knew what it was, but there was people like y'all that reminded us, like, nah, so it's okay to make it dirty like that, man. You know what I mean? It's all right that it's hip-hop and that it don't sound radio friendly, or you know what I mean? So I think if we could just be a little more informal form and keep that era alive, I think it'll kind of start circulating back into the studios and people's feel for what hip-hop is.
Yep.
So listen, we're going to take a short break. You've been talking a lot. We're going to take a little break, and we're going to come right back with the impression session.
Hey y'all, Sam Sanders here. I just talked to Sid. She's a singer in a band called The Internet. And her voice, it reminds me of somebody. That sounds like Aaliyah.
Everybody says that. I'm flattered.
This week on It's Been a Minute from NPR.
Support for this NPR podcast and the following message comes from Babbel, a language program that quickly teaches real-life conversations in a new language. Choose from Spanish, French, Italian, German, and more. Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons use interactive dialogues and speech recognition technology to get you speaking your new language correctly and confidently. Try Babbel for free by downloading the app or going to Babbel, BABBEL.com.
We're back. That means one thing is time for the impression
session.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Here's how it works. We're going to play you each a track, and you just react. Simple as that.
Gotcha.
I'm going to drop mine first.
New York, New York, the Big Apple. New York, New York, the Big Apple. New York, New York, the Big 16 million feet. Nationals, Tom McCann's, floor shine, stepping on each other, rejoicing over the death of one nigga toe. Cold, callous feet trotting up and down synthetic avenues, streets, and gardens. Gardens that grow shit. Gardens where putty-faced beings sit emotionlessly admiring bastard flowers. New York, New York. A prerequisite to America, a disguised sin, where some brother from that closed southern shit comes to some open northern shit for a vacation. For an opportunity. An opportunity that knocks up sisters.
That, of course, is New York, New York by The Last Poet. And, of course, rest in peace to Jalal Mansour Derridden, who just passed away. Anyway, Rakim, what's your impression of that?
It's like, you know, the truth in your face. You know, they wasn't trying to spoon feed knowledge to you. They was expressing ideologies that we should adapt to again, you know what I mean? When I first heard them, I was real young. Luckily, I had a older brother that was, you know, into everything, and I was ear hustling and right in his back pocket 9 times out of 10. But hearing The Last Poets, that's like what I got from them. Like, yo, you don't have to try to spoon feed nobody or, you know, give them something that you feel that they don't want. It's like the carrot on the string, you know what I mean? And that's how they get down. One of my favorite lines from The Last Poets is, E pluribus unum means one out of many.
Wow.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right, Rakim, I got a song for you. Check it out.
Y un diente de oro que cuando ríe se ve brillando, como a 3 cuadras